Hi, I'm Jeff Gluck from IBM Communications, and we're here today to talk about the global CIO study that IBM conducted this year. It's called The Voice of the CIO. It's the largest study of its type ever conducted. These were all face-to-face interviews, and we're going to take a look at the mid-market results. These are companies with between 100 and 1,000 employees, and here to help us do that are Mark DePaquier, General Manager of our global mid-market business, and Pat Toole, who is IBM's CIO. Thank you very much, gentlemen, for joining us today.
Thanks, Jeff.
Pat, let's start with you. What do CIOs say about what they believe their companies expect of them? I mean, what's their job?
Well, the expectations on CIOs today have really grown from managing core technology to enabling the corporate vision to really delivering business value for their companies. And one thing that was really interesting about this study is that we looked over the past 3 years at companies from slow growth to high growth, and the CIOs in general for companies that are growing slowly focus much more on core technology than the CIOs of high growth companies. Those CIOs tended to really focus on enabling the corporate vision.
So it's about a lot more than managing the data center.
It certainly is.
You have to know business and technology.
That's right.
Mark, we know some of the top issues for CIOs of mid-sized companies from the study. It's changing business models, and that's number one. Does that strictly the results of the economy, or is there more going on here?
Well, I believe it's a little bit of everything. You know, it's clearly the economy plays a role, and then as the economy changed, it has forced most of the enterprise and companies to address their business model a different way. In the meantime, it's we are at a very exciting time, an interesting time, because technology now is becoming an enabler for many things, many problems that we didn't solve in the past. And you know, you've seen IBM talking a lot about smarter planet, and it's really what it is. You know, it's helping to solve problems about healthcare, traffic, smarter retail. So now, you know, it's really not about how big you are, but it's really about how smart you are. And when I meet with a mid-market customer, which basically I do every week, that's really, many of them, especially high-growth mid-market companies, they see that as an opportunity. They believe that if they can grasp the fact they can be smarter, they can actually take a very important share lead. And technology is becoming the enabler for that. So therefore, when I meet with CEOs or general managers, it's really, we're talking about business model, and business model always involves technology. Very often technology is at the core of the business model change. And I believe it's what is making this opportunity of, you know, for the CIOs, is what is changing the CIOs. When you are a visionary CEO, you need to change your business model for technology. You will bring over a CIO who can actually make it happen, and who can actually be a force as you do this. So that's really, you know, the trend I am facing, and that our customers are really pushing. And I can tell you that it's very real in the marketplace.
So that was the top business issue. We also asked, what was the top technology issue? And let me ask you about that. And the issue is data, and then being able to use that data to make better decisions. Analytics, business intelligence, was that surprising?
No, it's actually, every time I meet with a customer, I'm asking him, what are you doing? What is your key project? And we see many new things. Clearly, for example, you mentioned business intelligence. It's now coming very often as one of the top answers from our customer. And I see two reasons for that. One is, I would say, risk management. And actually this came from last year's economic situation. And many customers had to implement risk management approach, either to make sure they would actually understand their exposure, the customer they were dealing with. And the other one is growth opportunities. And you know, I see this trend moving from large, heavy, cumbersome batch report, what I call macro marketing report, to more personalized, very flexible marketing approach to basically be able to understand the issue in a week and change. I was with a customer in the UK a few weeks ago, and that's a retailer, and they were literally looking at their sales every day, and every product manager had his own, not report, but queries he was doing, you know, and they are making basically every decision on a daily basis based on that. And that's, at the end, they shared with me that it's a matter of huge difference between revenue and profit, because they can do this and change. and be very flexible. So we do this. The good news is we're making the tools now to make it happen as well.
We have a brand new product.
Yeah, we have actually many new products. We announced Cognos Express, which is now bringing the power of Cognos down to relatively small companies at a very affordable cost and down to the user. We also have other products like a Mashup Center Express as well, which helps to truly bring data from different sources and bring them to your end user in a very cool format. Basically in the format that many of the young designer now, in product manager, product marketing people are used to from their other website. And so that's, I think, very good enablers.
Pat, let me ask you a question about emerging technologies like cloud computing and software as a service. A fairly high percentage of the respondents in the mid-market slice of the study said they're interested. Might not be on the table today, but in the next 5 years, they say, it's going to be big. What's your opinion?
Well, certainly cloud computing and software as a service are long-term trends. And I would say, Mark, I think you would agree that for smaller companies, this technologies offer huge value because they're able to go into these environments and scale up and down much faster, much more easily than they have before, and get the business value, as you said, the information they need to run their business. And in fact, in IBM, we've just launched the largest private cloud of Cognos on Z-Linux. We have right now, anticipated this year, over 40,000 users accessing this cloud, scaling next year to over 90,000, eventually to 200,000 users. So we see enormous value as a large company, but there, I think, is even more value for smaller companies.
Last question has to do with seemingly conflicting roles for the CIO, where you have to be a cost cutter and you have to be an innovator and a visionary all at the same time. I think to me that says you have to know technology and you have to know business and the customers. Would you agree with that?
Absolutely. It was interesting. About a week ago, I was going through my email, and one subject was very forward-thinking strategic issue, and the very next one was there was an earthquake in the Indian Ocean and a cable might have been cut. So you're dealing with some of these forward-thinking things at the same time, keeping the infrastructure running. And that's the challenge of today's CIO. There's a fusion of business transformation and information technology, and that's what we literally have to deal with today.
Mark, do you see that with customers?
Oh, yes. I see it a lot, and every time I meet with a customer, we discuss about the role, and I exactly say it the same way. It's first they have to cover all basically. They need to make sure that IT is working, but they're also spending a lot of time on reducing the cost of IT, implementing virtualization or this kind of project very, very strongly. And at the same time, they need to do more. And especially in these high-growth companies, I told, it's about how smart you are now. And I start to see business model. Typically in the 50s, the growth engine and the guy was sitting with the CEO, at the desk to drive the key direction was very often the sales vice president, because most of the business model were about sales. In the 80s, 90s, the key guy at the table in many companies was the marketing vice president, because it was about branding, market positioning, and so on. Now, with the smarter planet, we start to see a new generation of not IT guys, truly business leaders with a strong IT background, and they are at the table here because they start to see the new technology-based business model, and very often that's the new CIOs, and they do this work, they drive this role, actually that's what they do in IBM with Pat, and that's what I see in many mid-market companies. I see a new profile of CIOs emerging. They are at the table. They truly influence the agenda of their enterprise to help them being smarter companies.
Well, thank you very much to both of you. Pat Toole, IBM's Chief Information Officer, and Mark Dupaquier, General Manager of IBM's Global Mid-Market Business. I'm Jeff Gluck. Thanks for watching.